right, the wait is over. Before I start, man, I want to say a big thank you to, obviously, my good friends over at WB Games for providing us the code for this game. Big shout out to Hunter, RGT's finest. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. So I know you guys were wondering, where have I been? I talked about this yesterday when we were watching the Konami reveal of Silent Hill, but a lot of you have been asking, where have I been? Why have I been so quiet, especially on social media? Well, I've been avoiding all aspects of social media, and especially this channel, in regards to this game, because I didn't want anything to slip or everything of that nature. There's a lot going on in the industry right now with embargoes being broken, and I definitely did not want to be a part of that problem. So I wanted to honor my commitment to what I, signed up for, and, come back to you guys when everything was set in stone. And today happens to be that day. So today we're talking about the one and only Gotham Knights, okay? This is the... this is their next iteration of the game. This is a world without Batman, finally, I guess you can say, right? A lot of people already are like, tearing this game to shreds, and I understand. And I'm definitely going to either add on to the fire, or I'm either going to mend some flames. But more than likely, I'm probably going to do more damage to this game than a lot of you guys can even imagine what you guys are saying on social media. So first, let's just go ahead and talk about it first, okay? Obviously, you guys already know the story. Batman's dead. You're now playing as either Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, or Batgirl. And, you're seeing it through one of their perspectives as you go throughout Gotham and uncover more secrets and, pretty much just crack the city, crack down on crime. And you start seeing there's more to it. This game features the Court of Owls. Now, the Court of Owls are really, really good. It's actually one of the cooler societies in the, really the coolest cults in Batman. And it's actually going to be interesting to see how this, how these characters are portrayed in The Batman with Robert Pattinson when we get to the sequel of that. You know what I mean? But going back to this, the Court of Owls are obviously one of the main stars at the forefront of the game here. And, when you see the Court of Owls, you're like, there's a lot of scenes in here that are actually really well done with the court. A lot of twists in here that were, that kind of were actually spoiled a little bit by the marketing from what we've seen. But, I mean, ultimately, we kind of started, you can easily piece a lot of this stuff together as you go. You know what I mean? But it looked good. I thought they did good with the Court of Owls for the most part. It was only until we got to a certain part of the game that they fell flat and they ultimately became pointless. But the Court of Owls definitely were a star of this game until, let's say, the third act. Let's just say that, okay? So there's that with the story. Let's just go ahead and start with the positives of this game, man. I don't want to be rambling, but more than likely I'm probably in because there's a lot of bad here. But in terms of the good of the game, let's just go ahead and start with that. Customization is definitely some of the best for a Batman title that I've seen for this game. They definitely did a great job of giving the player complete freedom in terms of crafting how their character can look. The style that it is. Like, you can go with like a metallic suit, armored suit. You can go with a more of a retro style or a badass look, right? You can really make. And you can really make your character stand out in every conceivable way. And what's even more cool about it, let's say if you get like some legendary gear, but it's like for a suit that just doesn't look that appealing, they offer what's called transmog, which basically after you like craft every particular style, or if you craft a specific style of suit, like let's say the Shinobi, for example, you unlock the transmog where it allows where basically the game pretty much gives you like a full-fledged skin over it so that you can have your gear, obviously, right? You can have your stats. So let's say you have legendary gear, you can have all the legendary stats and everything of that nature, but it doesn't have to look like that. You can make it look like one of the default skins that's there, at least until you unlock that full-fledged skin or whatever, or the legendary version of that, and you can customize that to your liking. So you do have options like that. And yes, they did a great job where once you customize your suits and everything of that nature, they do carry over in the cutscenes. So if you're wondering like, oh, is it going to show my stock cuts, like my stock costume throughout the cutscenes or the story? No, it doesn't do that. You have your full customization, so you are immersed with that alone. So that's a good thing by itself. Another thing they did with this game that I thought was good was the executions and the silent takedowns and knockouts, I guess you can say. I thought those were really, really well done, especially since you have 4 characters now, so you have different varieties of this. Obviously, Arkham, you kind of had this obviously in the Arkham games. You know, you can do this optionally through the challenge menus where you're doing the free flow combat, right, to beat the score. Or you had that for Red Hood and DLC for Arkham Knight, et cetera, et cetera. So you kind of did have it, but the fact that you have it here and it's at no additional cost, it's actually a good thing. You know what I mean? I'll give them a praise there for that. The cutscenes, like, you know, the animations are really, really good for that. I'm trying to think what else was it that was good here. Aside from that, you can, I say customization. I'm sorry. I'm literally like, what else was it that was good in this game? Oh, the co-op. You can play this with a friend. So let's say you beat this game. For those of you that had it super early like me, you know, you can partner up with a friend who just got the game and literally just play through the game with them, and they'll get all the trophies as you go together. So this can be a cool party game that you can play with your bro. You know what I mean? You can just like play, get all the collectibles together, the trophies pop together, you guys be done, and then you guys can go on. You know what I mean? You can do stuff like that with this, which is cool. It's very seamless how they did that. I think they did a good job with how they did the multiplayer in that particular case. Me and Hunter had to figure out how to invite each other into our world. So for those of you wondering how to do that, you go to the social, you press start or press options, go to social, then you set your player card. All right, so you pick the character or whatever for your player card. Then once you do that, you should pop up on your friends list, and you should be able to either invite them or you can join them straight off of that. So you have to like pretty much set up your player card there in order to invite people to your online world. So that's how it works. All right, and I think that's pretty much it in terms of the positives. I mean, visually the game looks passable, but more on that later. It looks passable. It doesn't look bad. I know a lot of people saw the Twitter leaks. You got like, oh my God, this game doesn't look too bad, especially when you compare it to Arkham Knight. Again, more on that later, but that was more of a compressed image. The game is vibrant. I will give that. Vibrant, like Gotham does look vibrant for the most part, but that's about it. Let's get into the negatives, man. Wow, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are even here because I know a lot of you are like, oh God, please tell me who's going to rip into this game. Well, okay, so but first, disclaimer for Rocksteady, or for not Rocksteady, but for the guys at WB Games. Now, I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a few developers get bent out of shape over the community. I've seen one particular one delete his entire Twitter because he got completely ratioed. Listen, this is okay. My criticism towards this game in no way, shape, or form is me taking a dig at the team or anything of that nature. It's just me calling out decisions that ultimately resulted in the game that we got, okay? Like movies, games can be criticized, right? It just, you know, it's the way you go about it. And I'm just being real with my audience. I'm being real with you guys and how I feel about this product. And I've always been like this. So you guys want the truth. Here's the most unbiased truth or you can ask for. All right? So here we go, man. Batman, or I want to say Batman so many times, but Gotham Knights, the story for Gotham Knights is by far one of the most predictable, cliche, and silly stories I've ever seen in the Batman universe. You know, if you know the slightest bit of Batman lore, you automatically know the big twist before it even happens. I'm talking like not even 20 minutes into the game, you'll know what the twist is going to be as soon as the game starts. I'll just say that. Afterwards, you know, aside from that, from the story, I mean, it doesn't do anything new to innovate it doesn't innovate the genre, or in this case, the world in any particular way. It felt like they were trying so hard to write Batman as like passing the torch, right? Because, you know, they really wanted to do that, but it's like it doesn't come across as genuine, for one, and it doesn't come across as like authentic to what Batman is. The voice actor for Batman does not sound intimidating whatsoever at all, period, and it just makes the game itself just look cheesy. It really, really does. I don't like the decision that they did for this game whatsoever when it comes to that. Moving ahead a little bit here, combat. So executions and everything of that nature are great in the game, but combat in this game is completely broken. The camera system is terrible, and I don't like the choice they've done with the RPG elements. You guys remember I was complaining about RPGs. I was like, dude, I don't like the fact that there's numbers across like atop of the heads of the enemies, right? It makes no sense that I need to be a certain level to take out a thug or whatever. And that ultimately hurt the game as well, because as you play through the game and you level up with your main character, the rest of the team does not level up, so you're going to be stuck with that particular character. And here's the wild part. Let's say you meticulously just, took your sweet time, right? You bounce back and forth with each particular character. You will be under leveled by the end of the game, and it will just be ultimately pointless. So you're going to be maiming one particular character. So when I say that, and the fact that it's an RPG, and the fact that it pretty much locks you out of really experiencing other characters, it really does. It's quite embarrassing, especially when you unlock these momentum abilities. The first thing I wanted to do was test out the momentum abilities, right? And see how everybody else is different. Until I realized that, oh, you know what? You have to beat X amount of villains or whatnot in the game as this particular character. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's showing that my level is their level because, I'm thinking it gave me the gear, right? And then I start fighting them, and it's like, dude, not only am I not doing any damage, I'm flat out just being crippled by these guys. I'm getting knocked out by these guys. It is bad design choice altogether for that by itself. Not a fan of that at all. Another thing I don't like about this game is the traversal system. So Arkham Knight, or really just the Arkham Asylum series as a whole, spoiled us. Well, okay, Arkham City to Arkham Knight, it spoiled us for the most part, right? When you guys can fly pretty much throughout the city. You can do that little dive bomb and like glide across and keep it going type of thing, right? Batman really was seamless at that time on the PS4 and everything of that nature. In comes Gotham Knight. Not only can you not glide on this game, I mean, you could do it with Nightwing, if I remember correctly, but you can't do it with Robin. You can't do this with Red Hood. I'm not sure if you can do this with Batgirl either. I didn't even bother to try. But the fact that you can do it with some characters, like glide, but you can't do it with others, just really breaks, it really just, it hurts my eyes. It hurts the game. It's like, dude, why? Why? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we do this? It's so stupid, in my honest opinion. Another thing that's dumb in this game too are the collectibles. So there are some collectibles in this game, like for example, there's collectibles called Bruce's Catch or Batman's Catch, whatever, where he leaves like these little data recordings and these little statues that you have to find. Those are actually okay. Those are understandable. It makes sense. That's something that Batman would do as like a plan B, right? Like if he dies, he's giving you guys extra intel on a society or whatever, and you can find and, make prototype gear that he might have had and, that he talked about, right? But then you go around the city and you start noticing some kiddie stuff. Like, for example, why in God's name would Batman leave batarangs around the city for the kids to find? And then, they're casually talking about it like, oh, yeah, Batman, used to play around with us like this. He used to leave batarangs around for us to find. It's like, no, that's not something Batman does. That's not. Batman, if you guys remember, was very strict into the book. It's like, bro, I don't know what it was they were trying to do with Batman, but it's like, dude, if you want a perfect depiction of Batman, how about you just look up Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? Look at Batman, the younger him versus the old him, and you notice the wisdom, you notice how more wise he became as an older man, right? But you also see how more strict he was when he was younger. That is the Batman that I was expecting in this game. Not some crazy, cheesy Batman who ultimately becomes a Jedi in this game. I'm talking, bro, here's where it gets even more wild to me. So, okay, I actually went a little ahead here, but again, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. So the Batcave is destroyed, okay? For those of you wondering, if you guys are going back to the Batcave is destroyed. You're actually at this new location, which is basically... It feels like a nod to Titan Tower from Teen Titans, right? It's called the Belfry. It's like overlooking the city. It's more of an open. It basically looks like a crazy high-tech loft type of area where you got all this high-tech stuff, games and everywhere. You can customize your character, you can customize your suits, your bikes, and all that stuff. That's basically where you're gonna be at, right? But in the midst of having this stuff here and having access to this loft. Oh my God. I can't believe they did this too. So you're also going to be recovering data from the fights, from the crime scenes. So each particular crime scene, or not crime scene, but every time you beat a thug, every time you beat like a part of the story, you're going to get snippets of I guess information to put on this little board that's on the, like, you know, to put on the little board so you guys can like piece together how the crimes go. Here's the thing about this. So instead of this being like a more in-depth ways, like you know, when you like, I thought it was gonna be like a mini game type of thing, like you can piece it together, but it's not. It's all seamless together. But once you do all this stuff, this opens up this opens up fast travel for certain enemies. That's right. So as you guys played the main story and you pretty much like unlock the main villains, in this case it might be Mr. Freeze, right? I just throw him out there. I don't want to spoil I mean, I could spoil the other guys, whatever, but let's say Mr. Freeze. You find out data on Mr. Freeze, then you go back to the Belfry, and then once you go to the Belfry, you select Mr. Freeze as a villain to launch. You hit launch and the game will instantly, like, you know, the game will launch into that. Now here's the thing. There are loading screens in this game, people. This game has loading screens in 2022. So there's going to be a big loading screen. It loads into it. They'll say hit continue, and then you're at there with the villain, or wherever you are in the villains in the world. Now, granted, this is still in the same timeline, people. It's not like you're going back in time. It's in the same timeline. So riddle me this. Why is it that I can't explore after being transported to those areas? Why am I confined and I have these red little walls that I can't go past when I teleport into these to these boss fights? Makes no sense, right? I know, it's pathetic. So that's what they did there. It's a terrible design choice. Batman again is off, completely off. And oh boy, when you go to the Belfry, man, this is where they really killed Batman, in my honest opinion. So this is one of the main reasons they killed Batman. So they turned Batman into a Force ghost, ladies and gentlemen. You go to the training area to learn or harness your moves, right? And before it even starts, you hear Batman. You see Batman in his form. He goes, physical and mental preparation are key to homing the body. Hold on to my voice.
Dad liked her so much.
Because she was fiercely loaded.
Physical and mental preparation go hand in hand. Here, we can train the mind to prepare the body, but it requires deep focus. Let go of your grief and concentrate on my voice.
And focus. So you mean to tell me Batman goes from being this wise, badass, iconic character to a damn Force ghost who offers nothing new to the table to this game, who ultimately looks like a bum in this game overall. This game really felt like an insult to Batman. It really, really did. Over the expense of pushing these four characters, which, by the way, we know eventually these characters are going to take up the mantle. We know this. We've read the comics. We know this, right? We know the dark lore of Batman, but let's keep it a buck. There are ways how you go about it, and there are ways how you should go about portraying a character and, like, you know, respecting a character. This game did everything wrong when it came to supporting a character. In this case, it flat out insulted them, and it really does show. So there's that, man. There's that. I could go on forever how bad it is for that. I already went over the terrible combat system in terms of the camera and everything of that nature. But what I didn't talk about is how broken the combat is when it comes to elemental abilities and the legendary gear. So I had a weapon. All right, I had this weapon crafted. It is a legendary bow staff. This weapon does about 2,000 damage once I put all the mod chips in. It does 2,000 damage, give or take, right? Then on top of that, it causes freeze on top of that. So each particular hit, it builds up like a freeze element on the enemies, and this right here can freeze them, and you can pretty much do 5 times more damage. On top of that, you have you know, you have range attacks you can throw into this. So when you throw this in here and you cause elemental damage, you can flat out break this game in combat and literally knock out anybody with no repercussions whatsoever. They have these silly little challenges here saying like, hey, knock out 2 people at a time, silently take out 5 people, hey, take out these marked guys, blah 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 blah. You might be thinking, okay, those sound important. Here's a spoiler alert, they're not important. You'll still get the same amount of gear, you'll still get the same amount of material needed to craft everything by just naturally playing the game. You don't have to do these silly challenges whatsoever, and there's no repercussions for not doing them whatsoever. No civilians get hurt, no score multiplier gets hurt, nothing. It's crazy. They also limited how many times you can heal into this game, which was even more stupid in my honest opinion. You know, Arkham had that seamless thing where it's like, you know, you can use your points to heal yourself or whatever, or it naturally happened after you beat an encounter to, you know, to add more tension to the fights. No, not in this game. This game, you literally have health packs, stuff like that enemies casually drop when you knock them out. Crazy, right? And now let's get into the last 2 things here, and I'm gonna close this video, man. The performance. Now, the performance I'm hit and miss with. Obviously, yes, the game is running at 30 FPS. I know you guys might be going, yeah, that's bad. What if I told you it was running below 30 FPS when you're on the motorcycle? And I'm gonna start with that first. So obviously, like Arkham Knight, you have a vehicle to get around the city. You have a motorcycle, the Bat Cycle. This thing pretty much is made out of nanotech because it appears out of anywhere. At the press of a button. It just literally appears. No particular reason. It just appears and just comes out of nowhere. Anyway, the motorcycle that you're driving on here, again, once you're driving on this, the game literally stutters. Like, it stuttered with me so many times, especially when I did that rapid back and forth turns to see how the game can handle it. This game was running at like 12 frames per second of me doing that. And it got to the point where it was like, damn, this game is really, really bad. And mind you, that was like on the first 2 days of this game when we were really doing it too. And it continued to it gradually got worse and worse and worse. The game was slowed down. Hunter's game crashed in the midst of this. It was like, bro, it was really, really bad. Now, luckily, there has been a patch. For those of you that are wondering about this, there was a patch that dropped like 2 days ago for this. And it did kind of like iron it out a little bit. But keep in mind, it's still going to happen in the game when you guys play it. I just want to throw that out there. It still will happen. Okay? So there's that with the 30 FPS. Obviously, that also affects the combat. For those of you wondering, you know, it's not fast paced whatsoever. So when like you're dodging enemy projectiles while fighting, you're more likely going to get hit because, again, it's just it's not fast. It's not fluid whatsoever. Going back to the performance though, so this is where a lot of people are kind of divided for even further. Like I am too. I was expecting a performance mode for this game, and then I played the game, but then I started to notice things that a lot of you guys probably didn't notice. So I know a lot of you guys will go, okay, why don't you guys turn down the graphics so that we can get a 60 FPS option, right? Or at least 40. Well, here's the thing. This game, I don't really think turning down the graphics would have given you the 60. This game feels like it's more CPU intensive than anything, hence why they can't give you the loading times and all that stuff, right? This game really felt like they literally just were trying to throw so much at you, and they didn't really think about performance at all, and it really does show. 30 FPS, again, it's a big stretch, man. It's a big stretch. Like, I thought the graphics alone would be probably worth it, but no, it's not. But yeah, real talk, this game is CPU intensive. Like, if you're on the motorcycle and you're going through the city, you're starting to notice this stuff. Like, for example, if you walk around, if you just naturally go down to the ground and start walking, you'll start seeing NPCs, right? But as soon as you call the motorcycle, it's like all the NPCs like disappear, and you might see a few cops and you might see a few villains that are like tagged to these little street crimes you can solve or stop. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. The rest of the world, in terms of like the characters, like the people driving cars, every car in this game has tinted out windows so you can't see who's in the car. It doesn't matter what car it is. It doesn't matter what group it is. It could be a GCPD police officer. Every car has the same black tinted windows, meaning that there's nobody driving the cars. They don't even have NPCs in the cars because the CPU can only handle so much. That's why they couldn't do it. there's so much they were throwing into this game that they can't really simply just turn down the graphic settings and give you guys a 60 FPS option. So my advice for them going forward as we go into a sequel, because they're pretty much sequel baiting in this, and that's if this game does well enough to get a sequel, my advice for them really is to take this feedback and really apply this to your next project. Because, you know, there's one thing to be ambitious, it's another to just flat out throw stuff at a wall. And this is one of those situations where you clearly were just throwing stuff at a wall to appease everybody, you know? Don't get me wrong. It's cool to play with a buddy and play throughout this game and experience the world and everything of that nature, right? It's cool to do that stuff. It's fun. It can be really, really fun. It can be. But at the end of the day, this is Batman's universe. You know what I mean? This is Batman universe. And people want to be immersed, right? They also want the best performance. They want everything. If you can't deliver that, especially with this being on next gen only, you are bound to a lot of criticism. And keep in mind, this game was originally on PS4 and Xbox One, and they cut it from those consoles just for the next gen consoles only. And you guys already know, as much as I've been praising the next gen consoles and what we were able to get, it's wild to me that we don't have the load times, right? It's wild to me that I'm seeing this game at 30 FPS. It's flat out wild to me that this game is a step down from a game, or really a huge step down from games that we got in the PS4 generation. When I look at Rocksteady and what they were able to give us in terms of an open world, 60 FPS, amazing story, amazing characters, right? And I'm looking at this is really, really bad. It's a bad look. And it just goes to show that Rocksteady, is the king when it comes to Batman. And I really wanted WB to really shine, because I actually liked Batman Arkham Origins. I actually liked that. I thought Arkham Origins was good, for the story at least. I thought it was good. I thought they were going to deliver. I wanted them to succeed, but they did not succeed, unfortunately, this time around. And in order for us to help them get on the right track, we have to be honest here. And that's what I'm doing with this video, man. So that's my honest take on the whole situation. If I had to give this game a score out of 10, I would give it a 5 out of 10. This is easily one of the most underwhelming Batman games I've ever played. Aside from combat and executions and stealth takedowns, sure, that's cool and everything, but nothing stops this game from, nothing saves this game from its bland story, its terrible design in terms of how they went about this, right? It doesn't save this game from none of that stuff. The game is absolutely terrible on so many ways with that. Like the fact that I'm doing missions for Penguin, of all people, is even more silly to me with this game, especially after a part of the story where you think it's gonna head somewhere, right? And ultimately doesn't. This just goes to show, again, they didn't think this stuff through. But that's my honest take on the game. This review is getting to 30 minutes. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I want to end this. But nah, that's literally it. I have nothing else really crazy to say about this game. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I appreciate it. I hope, the team takes this feedback and they come back stronger than ever, and they deliver a game that is worthwhile in every single front. I do see the passion for the studio. I really, really do. But it's just not there. It really felt like they were trying to recreate the Teen Titans rather than build an extension of Batman's world with these characters and, that same dark and gritty world. No, this one felt more kiddie, archaic than anything of that nature. And on top of that, to further end this too, the soundtrack in this game is god-awful. Oh, my God. I'm going to end the video with a soundtrack from the game. You can hear it yourself, but listen, the soundtrack's terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. I'm just gonna say it, man. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one, and y'all be blessed. Y'all be easy. See you guys later on today for the other showcase for Resident Evil, if I remember correctly.